Thank you for joining me. We'll just lurk around for a couple of minutes while people filter in, shall we? How are we all doing? Having a lovely Sunday? Oh, hello Pingu. Hello Mike. Hello Whammer. Let's see who's made some time to interrupt their afternoon snooze or what have you. Oh, Reese in the chat. Greetings. Oh, it feels very strange doing this on a weekend, gotta say. Like, I'm all about the racing to get done before a clock tower game starts or something like that on a Tuesday night. Instead we get to take it nice and slow. There's no time pressure, of which I'm aware. It's true, yes, Pingu. Welcome to your first ever Globby ceremony. What a world. Oh, Reese, you can't distract me with contest votes mid-Globbies. I've got to read. What have you got here? Okay. You've had worse opinions. Okay. We'll fix that later. Right. We are on the moment now. I'll let other people... Oh shit, those aren't supposed to be. Ooh, you shouldn't see those. Oh no. Let's get rid of... Oh no. Can't be having that. What a mistake. Ugh. Ah, Frank is in the chat as well. Lovely to have you. Alright, well look, we're bang on 5 PM UK. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? So, welcome to the 19th. Okay, it's not the 19th Globby Awards, is it? It's the Season 19 Globby Awards. As with many things, Season 1, of course, not canon. Yeah, it's time to take a look through the best of a thrilling season in the Globby League. Sorry, I got distracted by trying to work out what's happening with Tom. Is that what my ping is? Okay. Hello, Tom. All the same. Right. What was I saying? Yes, the 19th Globby Awards, given out to the best and the worst and the weirdest in the Globby Draft League. It's been a really, really fun season. So let's kick off with some awards. First, here is a series of images with tangential relation to the current state of the Globby League. Look at them. Aren't they nice? There we go. That'll do. But more importantly, congratulations to Qmang, our winners of Season 19. It went to the wire in quite an explosive fashion. There were several teams who could have won it going into the final stream, and gosh darn it, the Pythons tried so hard not to win it, but they did in fact win. So well done to them. They are our champions for Season 19. Let's dive into some awards. Although, actually, hang on, that's not what happens next. Next I show you the whole table. Here's the whole table. It's got some teams in it, you see, and obviously Football Manager 2023, a completely functional game that definitely knows how to make the split work. So as you can see, everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. But the Pythons there at the top of the table, the Pigs and Chitess were in with a shout on that final day. But super close end after a super not close most of the season with a ridiculous lead from the Pythons that they tried their best to bottle, but they did hold on. Shout out to Surreal Giants for getting 2 entire points with some very, very tiny people. Well done to them. And congratulations to Tiki Taka for winning the split. Do we have them for Season 2? Well, Season 2 I'm pretty sure was the first Globbies, because Neil did mention me specifically for winning. So yeah, it was definitely a Season 2 creation. Let's head on, and now the awards should start happening. Here we go, Team of the Season. You know this one. It's the one that goes to the team that won the league most of the time. This is actually one of the closest Team of the Season votes we've ever had. It is going to go to Qman for just about getting away with it. But there were a lot of candidates in with a shout. We got several votes for Sirs for winning the cup and being, not a million miles away from winning the league as well. And we've got shout outs to the Pigs and Chutes, both of whom put together a pretty solid campaign for the victory. Chutes were much maligned in predictions, as I remember. Very few people saw them going very far, but they had a really, really good season. The Pigs as well, slightly unorthodox setup, some really fun choices, but they did really well. But it is regrettably the Pythons who got it, so well done to them. Here's another one of those boring awards that everyone always votes for the winner. It's Whammer, who, to be fair, actually this one I think more than some actually does make some sense. Whammer was forced by narrowly losing a bet regarding Holland being very, very good to draft Karim Benzema in round 1, and somehow, despite Benzema trying so hard to screw it up, he did actually get away with it. The draft around Benzema was very well done, and it was a seriously impressive achievement to win it with that particular millstone on your neck. So well done to Whammer for somehow getting away with it. Shout outs as well for the likes of Gabriel, who I believe that's for test season performance, and to Remco for pivoting out of bad predictions to a really, really solid season. So, carry on now. It's more of the boring shit because it is manager of the season, and people unable to look past here on a slot for, having to play Karim Benzema and getting away with it. Commanded the Pythons to a massive lead before almost completely destroying it through total inaction. You'd love to see it. Seiko Gonzalez, who was the manager of Flying Fox Soccer, nobody really saw them as serious challengers, but they had an outside shot going into the final stream. It's a solid top half of the split performance from the Foxes. And Simone Inzaghi was the main contender to slot here for some clever stuff with the Pigs. Really strong season for them. That was my vote. But Slot is going to take it. Joe Gomes, of course, happy to be here. Well, I think it's going to get any less obvious going to the next award. Probably not. Player of the season is Big. He scored approximately 1 billion goals and is the main reason why Chutes was so close to winning the league. An obvious contender really here. Outscoring Haaland in any season is no small feat, but Lewandowski was definitely the main striker this season, and really, really impressive stuff from him. We do have a couple of completely invisible votes for Karim Benzema. Those involved should be ashamed of themselves. That is very depressing. Kevin Trapp, goalkeeper for Q-Man, getting a shout out here. Ricky V had a good season for Foxes. Not sure you could really in any way defensively call it a player of the season performance, but he is there. So there's that. And Joe Gomes had a good season for the Dwarfs, but I'm not convinced that's the reason why he's on this list. And now I'm going to listen to my very helpful past self and move my camera a little bit. Off I go. Whee! I made it. Okay, because now we're going to do some graphics. It's team of the season time. We'll start, as we always do, with the goalkeepers. Assuming it registers. By clicking. There we go. Well, perhaps unsurprising, given that he made an appearance in the Player of the Season voting, Kevin Trapp from the Pythons is getting the nod here. Very, very solid stuff. A couple of moments of oddity, you could say. There definitely wasn't a completely unblemished season, but really strong performance all round from a very, very defensively strong Python side because, they had to be. Very, very strong stuff from him. Emi Martinez from Sirs also getting a few votes here, won the cup, really solid. And Diego Costa from the Pigs. I assume he was good because he was on the shortlist and Pigs were good. I didn't notice him, but I'm sure this is fine. But yeah, this is definitely a Trapp win here. Maybe we'll have more to argue about in the defender positions. Let's start with the right back of the season. Well, it is more Python's presence here because Giovanni Di Lorenzo very much getting points for being the right back in the title-winning team. Very, very solid all season. A few votes for Jonathan Klaus from the Elves for, I guess, having a good season. Not the kind of name you expect to be in these kind of lists, so fair play to him for good performances, getting himself nominated, and that's backed up, I think. Perhaps people even seeing his name on the shortlist were like, that's worth voting for. And Denzel Dumfries, also here, is a good right back who Nicky beat me to, and I'm quite annoyed about that. But yeah, no, very, very solid performances. One of these three, but Di Lorenzo is going to take it. Let's see if it's going to be all Pythons at the back. Let's go on to the centre backs. Well, it's not quite all of them, but they are represented here. Patrick Omondi, I think, quite reasonably, getting the most votes here. Is now hitting his PA. It's just an absolute monster. The Kenyan maestro himself marshalled the Pythons to the league. Has occasionally had the last couple of seasons like some wobbly periods where we've been not sure whether he's been worth it, but he's absolutely dominated this season. So fair play to him. Matthias de Ligt also here for Sirs, a really important part of their brief title challenge and their cup victory. Put out several votes. Otherwise, several reasonable presences here. Multiple votes for Giorgio Scalvini and Gabriel of the Weasels. Both had some really, really solid periods, and it was one of the more mystifying split misses, I think, unbiasedly. And they were really solid post-split, so well done to them. But votes as well for likes of William Saliba, Dayot Upamecano, Ruben Dias and Joe Gomes. Actually, it's a defensible vote because Joe Gomes is actually a centre-back and actually was good. Not convinced that's why he got voted for, but, fair play. He is here. I mean, what is a wobbly period if not shorthand for being drafted by Reece? That seems reasonable to me. So, we are 3 out of 4 on Python's players so far. Let's go to the left backs, because they do have a nominee. It is not quite going to be there for Alex Grimaldo. Several votes, and perhaps an unlikely star and an unlikely keep for the title-winning Pythons, but it's Destiny Udogie for Vitesse, who was a really important part of a team that almost won the title out of nowhere. The young left back did very, very well. So well done to him. Takes his place, the first Vitesse player represented here. David Alba and Alfonso Davis also getting votes, but quite a long way behind our winner. It's Udogie. Okay, now here's when I try and remember what the order of the midfield positions is. I think we're centre midfielders next. Let's go for them. Hell yeah, nailed it. Lots of disagreement over this one. Several players got multiple votes. No complete overwhelming majority, but we do have 2 clear winners, just about without having to do tiebreakers. Jude Bellingham of Sirs got the most votes and makes it through. And Martin Odegaard, KCC not as good this year, didn't win the title for the first time ever, but Odegaard's still a very, very good part of a pretty good team, and seals his place here. But several players got upwards of 3 votes, up to 2, sorry, because there was at least 3 spoilers. But Hackers, Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, I love seeing Wirtz and Musiala tied here. Impossible to separate them, were all very good. Luka Modric as well, very, very important part of the Pig Style Challenge. A couple of votes for his enormous normness, much spottier this year, but the occasional moment of brilliance, but not quite at his best. And Nicolo Barella voted here because Stefan had a vote and he was on the list. Let's go now to our left wing, I want to say. I need to change the order of this next year. This is complete nonsense, but it does pivot to the left wing. Where only 2 real candidates here. Vinicius, I think the key attacking force for the Foxes, proto-title challenge, and Kingsley Coman, particularly in the back half of the season, was just incredible week after week for the Elves, and does sneak it at the end here with a majority of the votes cast. Kingsley Coman becomes the first Elf to make it onto our team of the season. Also a vote for Neymar, who was good, but didn't destroy the league like he has done before. Um, but yeah, I think it seems like the right winner to me. Coman very very strong all season. Let's go ahead and finish up our midfield with the right wing. And well, this really is one of the easiest decisions we've had to make all season. Bukayo Saka, actually ridiculous. Just every season he's played this cycle, just rockets up in CA every season, buckets of assists. A really dominant presence on the right wing for the Pythons, and a major part of why they were able to win the league despite having a bag of sand up front. Lionel Messi did have some good performances and does make it, into contention with a few votes here. Rodrigo just happy to be mentioned, I think, but this is very much the Saka victory. You've got to hand it to him. Let's round out our team of the season now with our strikers. Now, obviously, Big has won Player of the Season, but that is not necessarily guaranteed that he is going to get a position in team of the season because people are weird. But let's find out. Well, yes, he does make it on. Not at 50% of the votes, which you would expect for a Player of the Season winner, but he does take the most votes by a long way. Big does seal his place in the team. It's a close one for who's going to join him, but it's Kylian Mbappe, obviously the superstar for Sirs. You can argue all day over whether he's better on the left wing or up front for these purposes, but scored a bunch of goals, was a key figure for a cup-winning team. Well done to Kylian Mbappe. But it's an understandable presence as well here for Erling Haaland, who is basically the only good thing about Ethos, and it's a miracle they got as far as they did. We have points for Randall Kolo Muani, who was a bit of a sleeper hit for the Pigs this season. All kinds of interesting striking choices being made by Inzaghi this year. But Kolo Muani had several really impactful performances, particularly towards the end of the season, and has ended up being blue kept for his troubles. Great stuff from him. Shout outs to Ricky V, Romelu Lukaku, and Vlahovic for being there. I think Ricky V had a genuinely good season. Vlahovic, the combo with Fati was very good, but never quite gelled into something that was dominating things as you might have hoped at the start of the season. Lukaku definitely only getting voted for because Tice was voting, but it's nice to have you here anyway. But Mbappe and Big, our team of the season. I can find out who didn't vote Big. Yeah, fuck him. Let's find out. Striker of the season. Who didn't vote? Oh fuck. Well, it's actually hard. Let's go to the response sheet properly. This is important. We must shame. Hide all of that. All right. Stefan didn't vote for Big. Idiot. And that's it. It's just Stefan. Stefan's an idiot. Well done to Stefan for being an idiot. But we do love you. Thank you for sticking around. All right, I'm glad we sorted that because that was important. But yeah, here is your full team of the season in roundup. Obviously, yeah, a big presence from the Pythons, particularly towards the back of the pitch. But yeah, four players for them, 2 Shates players, 3 for Sirs, 1 KCC and 1 Elf. That's a reasonably good distribution for how the season went. Well done to all of these. Now let's do the banter awards. So, banter goalkeeper. We really struggled to decide on these, and even though you might have felt that there's actually not an awful lot of obvious candidates, that has ended up with almost everyone getting a vote. In no particular order, we've got Kevin Trapp for, I don't know, I guess being Kevin Trapp. Thibaut Courtois was just really shit for like no reason. Joe Gomes, you always love to see him nominated. Odysseus was the keep for the Ducks, who was much hailed and turned out to be absolute dog shit. Got dropped, as I recall. Manuel Neuer, we're nearing Benzema levels of don't draft this man, but here he is. People still draft him. Anatoly Trubin perhaps ought to have got more votes here. Paul Trubbish did this sort of masterstroke of a real boy strategy and just going for your first choice goalkeeper for the full cycle. If only it was backed up by him actually playing well all the time. But doesn't even get hold of the Banter Goalkeeper award. Edison was here, does still makes bizarre mistakes from time to time that does not make sense with the CA. Hadley's tiny man, I can't remember the band's name, but he was very small and it's very, very cute to see a tiny person playing goal. Then we've got a vote for some elves pleb who made a cameo against Weasels. Don't know who that was, don't remember them, can't even prove it exists, but that did get a vote. But the winner, by virtue of being the only person to get more than one vote, is Dominik Livakovic, the hyper value keeper who, after several seasons of being just really strong at a relatively low CA, was mostly dog shit this season and did end up getting dropped multiple times. But yeah, he is our Banter Goalkeeper winner for a less than stellar season for Weasels. Let's go on now to Banter Defender. I think as discussed, people are struggling here, but perhaps by dint of being mentioned in the Discord in conversations about this, Andreas Christensen, the subject of much argument as to whether he was a good value pick for Reece, either at the back or at DM. Nobody quite be sure what the point was, and he didn't entirely reward anyone with his performances. Christensen does take it, Banter Defender. Speaking of defenders that Reece was angry at, Kieran Trippier also making an appearance. Was just uniquely terrible quite early on, and drew a lot of ire on stream, which we always enjoy. Calvin Phillips, I'm assuming played a defender at some point. I don't remember this happening, but I guess because he's being voted for here, that must have happened at some point. Little Greg almost got a holiday. Tiny little Greg was so violent this season that he was incredibly close to booking himself a 20-game holiday. Really impressive stuff. Keep up the good work, and we hope to see you for less time next season because you're on holiday. Joe Gomes also here. Was Trippier good? Oh, was Trippier bad last season? I can't remember. I imagine he was good. He was bad this season because you still drafted him. Phillips played 5 games as centre back. Oh, fair enough. That works for me. That'll do. But nevertheless, Andreas Christensen wins Banter Defender. Let's go on to Banter Central Midfielder, which, spoiler alert, is also Andreas Christensen for much of the same reasons that this happened at Defender. Nobody could decide whether he is a defender or a centre back, least of all Reece. That's why he kept drafting about 10 people in the same position. And yeah, he wasn't that good. So Banter Central Midfielder, Joe Gomes, multiple votes for Joe Gomes. Incredible. That's some serious progress for a perennial presence in our awards. Manuel Ugarte, the only one who actually did get himself a holiday. Surprising bastard, Manuel Ugarte. Beat out a slew of kids to actually take the suspension prize. It was not supposed to be a thing that could have happened, but he actually did get himself a ridiculous holiday right at the end of the season. Big shout out to Ugarte for doing the thing. Calvin Phillips also showing up here, I guess, for probably similar reasons to him making an appearance in centre-back votes. And Wellesley Macklin, I would say out of position here, unless he did, in fact, at some point play in centre midfield, in which case, fair enough. But the thing about Wellesley Macklin is he's very small, and that's fun. Small and quite good, so good to him. Let's carry on. Let's see if Andreas Christensen can also win Banter Winger or Cam. Perhaps unsurprisingly, he cannot. There's a clear winner here for Banter Winger or Cam, and it's Rafael Lau, almost upstaging Benzema in just inability to make the title challenge actually happen, thanks to a truly astonishing underscoring of XG. But yeah, just about held it together with a couple of absolute bangers right at the end. But a source of frustration, you might say, and one that would have been much more pronounced had there not been a giant, sort of bag of rocks at the front of the spear. Daniel Podence, the tiny surreal player who scored a header, well done to him. Pablo Sarabia, I think there's something here about scoring ridiculous goals. I've kind of forgotten what's going on with that, but he does get a vote for Banter Can. Florian Wirtz just had I don't really know what he's doing here. He just had a good season, just wirtzing around. Fair play to him. And Joe Gomes doing well to be nominated here, so good job to him. Let's go on ahead to Banter Striker. Perhaps, I think, unsurprisingly, Karim Benzema, in many ways the headline act of season 19. The title-winning team was built with no small amount of harumph around him, and it was a near perfect distillation of what makes Karim Benzema so terrible in gobshite format. One of the worst players in the league, particularly during the run-in when Pythons were doing their absolute best to bottle it all, and he was a huge part of them almost missing out on an easy title. It's a miracle that they got as far as they did, but it's a stark warning. Just don't draft this man. Just don't do it. You'll be much happier if you don't. I have votes as well for Harry Kane, who was particularly bad this season for no clear reason. Lorenzo Insigne was, I guess, spent some time at striker. He's very small as well, is the thing with Insigne. Joe Gomes, happy to be nominated. Carlos Vela, I think, is here for Tom accidentally getting Dane Scarlett out of the team again. But yeah, it's hard to argue with Karim Benzema. As Reece said, it was his best ever season and he won the league and he was still fucking dreadful. So yeah, well done to Benzema. The award is named after you for a reason. What have we got next? It is Banter Manager. One of those cases here where I don't think there was a standout candidate, but there were a few obvious names. Always fun to see two managers for the same team get nominated. Southgate and Gardner between them have this as much as our winner. Sam Allardyce here just for managing the tiny people and for asking them to cross to each other. That's quite fun. But Rob Edwards is going to take it, the Manchester manager, parachuted in from Luton to finally deliver the title they've been craving. And it didn't quite go as they expected, I think it's fair to say. And the Rob Edwards project not a complete success, but it did lead to some amusing frustration and occasional bewilderment. Rob Edwards from Manchester gets the award here, but I don't think this was necessarily a banner year for banter managers, and let's hope that somebody's got something completely ridiculous up their sleeves for season 20. What have we got next? Is it Banter Team? I think it's Banter Team. Now look, we don't always vote for the gimmick teams here because they're not, there's a range of how much you want to just default to it, but much more than say the left-footed players. There's an immediate visual glory to watching Surreal Giants in action. They're so small, and it was just delightful to watch them running around against a bunch of full-grown adults. It was a lot of fun, and they got 2 entire points, which is thrilling both times as it happened. So well done to Surreal Giants. Manchester United, just a bit weird this season. Couldn't quite make it come together and had some hilarious fortunes in terms of the game, trying to place them much lower below the split than they actually were. So good for them. Shout outs to Q-Man for almost bottling one of the biggest leads we've ever seen. Much and more, I guess, just for being shit when everyone was predicting them third. Pants for continuing to confound their DOF and being a bit depressing. Joe Gomes, happy to be here. Millwall, it's lovely, always lovely to see Millwall. Not convinced they earned the vote here, but it's just nice to see the word, so that's good. Let's get into some of the esoteric awards. It's time for gimmick of the season. There's quite a few good suggestions here. Joe Gomes getting a shout out, good for him. Karim Benzema for I quote providing entertainment. Certainly, in many ways, this was a season that was all about the spectacle of Karim Benzema. Games being played all over the world. We had, due to an unfortunate editing mishap, we had games split this season between Lithuania and Mauritania, which was extremely funny to see. But yeah, in those early stages of the season where we were very confused how we were suddenly back in the desert all of a sudden. So that was a fun little shout out. Small players. The players were very small for Surreal Giants, and that was a good gimmick. Pablo Sarabia only scoring absolute bangers. And not gonna a season long gimmick, not so sure, but no, the man scored some great goals, and fair play to that. Several votes for the 12 bottle pile up that was the end of the season, where alongside the through line of the Pythons desperately trying to throw away the league, there were several other contenders who themselves kept bottling their chances to steal it at the end. It seemed like nobody wanted to win the league there, and it was hilarious watching them all trip over themselves to then end up with what had seemingly been inevitable the whole time, which was the Pythons actually somehow winning it after all. But our gimmick of the season winning entry is from the Pythons, and it is the Lucky Pythons for just seemingly having everything going their way for a long time, and then especially I think underlined by the final stream where a series of goals scored against them were ruled out for offside to varying degrees of reasonability. A lot to be made this season of the Pythons' relationship with referees. Of course, an element of their history that I think their owners would be willing to airbrush, but this is always a club that has had an interesting relationship with refereeing decisions, and that was very much continued here. So well done to them. Gimmick of the season, Lucky Pythons. Let's move on to this. Oh, a surprise! Haha, got you. Surprise of the season. Our winner here is Whammer actually holding on. It seemed certain that the Pythons were so bad that they couldn't possibly get away with it. But despite everything, despite Benzema, they did actually take the win. But various shout-outs here. The Foxes being surprisingly good. Jack Grealish playing as a striker. Because in the ongoing... actually, was he still at Foxes this season? I've completely lost track. Was that to prevent Scarlett from playing? No, somewhere else. Doesn't matter. Glad didn't win, in retrospect. Surreal scoring a header. It was Surreal scoring a goal at all, something to be celebrated, but a header specifically from these tiny, tiny people. Beautiful to see. That was a genuine surprise. Manuel Neuer being blue kept at the end of the season. Hard to justify that one. A couple of separate votes here, specifically for one for the Pigs, just for actually being surprisingly good. I'm not sure anyone saw Gecko leading the line as being the recipe for success. But a really unexpected and strong performance from the Pigs, which we all enjoyed very much. And we have specifically a vote for the Pigs rotating a cast of centre backs up front. I think there was a game towards in the final stream where they had 3 different centre backs taking turns playing up front in a single game. Somebody and Inzaghi seemingly losing the plot as the Pigs bottled their opportunity to steal it from the Pythons at the death. But it's Whammer holding on that gets surprised this season, and now we can move on to disappointment of the season. A vote here going to Whammer holding on as well, because it was I enjoyed very much as a counterpoint to the surprise. But votes as well for the likes of Jogar's wasted wormhole that didn't really change that much in the end. A vote for St Martin Saints for being shit. A vote for Sirs not winning the league. Can't imagine who voted for that. Erling Haaland, considered by one voter to be the disappointment of the season, despite single-handedly dragging Ethos into the top half of the split. Vote for Much and More for just being they've been one of the most consistent teams in the league ever since their inception, and this was their first time where they just completely shat the bed. Our last place of our actual non-gimmick teams, very depressing. Harry Kane, as mentioned previously in Banter Striker, just bad this season, and inexplicably so. We do have our first tie of the evening though between Lionel Messi and Camera Chameleon Collective. I'm definitely going to break this tie in favour of KCC because I don't know if you noticed, but this is the first time that KCC have ever not won the league. So this is a catastrophe of truly epic proportions for a once proud club that's clearly been driven into the dirt. KCC, a complete failure by all of their standards, and an easy tie break for them for disappointment of the season. So well done, quote unquote, to them. What about next? Is it rivalry? It's rivalry of the season, and we have a clear win once again. The ongoing Foxes versus Ethos battle remains a very popular one. There were multiple notes in the votes themselves calling for more rivalries. We need new options and a richer tableau of anger across the league. Big opportunity, of course, for the likes of Pingu to just decide he hates somebody, and we'll see. Obviously, we can find out what happens organically through the draft and the early stage of the season. But there's definitely there's a gap here where we can have some more powerful rivalries beyond just the one headline. But well done to the Foxes and Ethos. It was a source of enjoyment throughout the season. Multiple votes for the Pythons versus the Casing Pack. Sort of the Pythons versus themselves as well, like anything else. A real mess at the end there, and rivalry not sure that quite meets the definition, but there was a good old scrap up the top there. Farcelona versus Stefan's decision making. Not a great year for Farcelona, it had to be said. One of the most successful teams in Gobshire history, but did not quite work out this season. And I have literally forgotten what that other Pythons related thing is, so let me very quickly find out what that was. Oh, because Pythons versus Benzema, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Yes, the Pythons just about getting away with the victory in that particular rivalry, and Benzema very much will be the losing party who will not be kept on the premises any longer. And also a shout out for a person redacted versus being normal, which I think we can all agree was a part of this season. But let's move on. It is now just only a couple of bits left to mention. The special mentions tab, as always, is a room for anyone to shout out things they want to shout out. A shout out for the penalty miss by Benzema that Whammer clipped, which wasn't even from season 19, but it was nice for whoever it was to mention that. It was a good clip. One of the many illustrations of Benzema's worth. Speaking of the man, we also have a very specific shout out to Benzema not deserving his league winners medal. I think we can agree on that. Probably the most hilarious and special thing I have in this season was we actually have a new DOF recruited specifically from Twitch chat. Pingu, welcome to the Gobshire Draft League. It's been genuinely very cool to see a random person maintain this level of interest in our stupid thing, and we're very excited to see what you do in the draft this season. Full stop. Good point, well made. Thank you very much for that. Banger season, yes, absolutely was. I've got to say, it's one of my favourite seasons that we've had. It was, and I didn't get to watch half of it, but it's full of weirdness and some late season drama. Really enjoyable stuff. But of course, it's also worth mentioning the Go-Gomes. Right, we've almost wrapped up here. I do have a quick FAO for Whammer. Just remember to listen to that song again. This is your reminder. But otherwise, all that is left for me to say is that I will see you next season, along with all of us. Obviously, in season 20, we are about to start drafting as soon as this stream is over, we'll head over to the Discord where Whammer's got the wheels ready, and we'll settle on draft order and then start pinging people angrily, asking why we haven't drafted yet. That is, of course, for Season 20, which will be played in Central African Republic. It's in the centre of Africa, and it's a republic. It's the Central African Republic. We're going to be playing there next season. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all very much for joining me. Thanks for a great season. I'm looking forward to another banger. I'll see you all very, very soon.